The Asus Transformer Pad Infinity is here and it is better than ever. Think of this as the new and improved Transformer Prime. Now I did a review of the Transformer Prime already and you can check that out, bam, right here with an annotation. But the Infinity has a faster 1.6 GHz quad-core Tegra 3 processor, 1 GB of faster DDR3 RAM, a higher resolution 2 megapixel front-facing shooter, and a 1920 by 1200 full HD display. Now that bottom bar on Android is exactly 120 pixels tall, so you can watch 1080p movies and YouTube videos on this tablet in actual native 1080p. And we'll talk more about the display in a second. But the hardware on this tablet is absolutely the best of any tablet I have ever held. It's built like a boss. It's the back of the Transformer Prime that is made entirely of metal up until the last inch or so up on the top, which switches over to this hardened plastic. What this actually does is it improves the GPS and Wi-Fi reception a lot over the all-metal Transformer Prime, which I even had some issues with, and while still retaining a much more premium feel than the all-plastic Transformer Pad 300. The power and volume buttons are also repositioned and changed so they're up top, and they have a deeper travel, which is really nice. They feel better to press, and about the only thing unchanged about the back is that 8 megapixel camera and the somewhat mediocre speaker. And it all also sports this neat, very thin wedge shape. It's pretty much the exact thinness of the Transformer Prime that came before it, and it even works with the Transformer Prime's dock if you already have that. And of course that dock, yes, the full keyboard dock I reviewed in its own separate video down in the description below that like button, so you can check that out if you want. It adds some extra hours of battery, of course, the full-size SD card slot, the full-size USB port, and a whole bunch of other advantages, besides just being a sweet attachable keyboard. It's what really makes it a Transformer. But on to the front of the tablet. This is a Gorilla Glass, Super IPS, 1920 by 1200, 224 pixel per inch, 10-inch mobile display. I mean, did Asus leave anything off that list? That is a pretty hot spec sheet for a display right there. But it runs Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich, and this is actually currently its biggest flaw. I can explain. So right now, Android 4.0 and Tegra 3 are kind of like strangers. You put them in the same room to work together, in the same device to work together, and sometimes Android says, here, let me take over the performance, I got this, I know how much RAM there is, I got it. And other times, the Tegra 3 chip says, wait a second, let me look at what's going on, let me control performance right now, I can handle it. The result is really a mixed bag of sometimes buttery smooth performance, and other times things like web browsing or sometimes light work or even scrolling are much more choppy, as that Tegra 3 decides it doesn't need to ramp up all 4 cores, and it just kind of relaxes a bit. So, gaming and camera performance and high-end tasks are very fast. They're top of the charts because Android and Tegra 3 have both agreed and decided to push the performance to the max because it's all about frame rates at that point, and the experience is great at the high end. But for lower end tasks, just like swiping between home screens, maybe searching for YouTube videos or browsing light websites, you might notice more frames. So you check out all that stuff. I've explained it a bit more in my Transformer Prime full review, but basically Android 4.1 goes beyond fixing this, and they introduce Project Butter, which actually guarantees an extremely smooth across the UI performance. Pretty much everything you do in the OS is around 60 frames per second, super smooth performance, and Asus has announced that all of the Asus Transformers will be getting Android 4.1. Now something to note is Android 4.1 already runs beautifully on another Asus Tegra 3 tablet, the Nexus 7, which is awesome news because this is also an Asus Tegra 3 tablet, which means Android 4.1 will likely perform even more amazingly on this faster Tegra 3 inside the Transformer Pad Infinity. But aside from all that, this tablet is really a great experience right out the box. You sign in with your Google account, you get all the Google stuff. It has an awesome battery life, and it gets even more battery when you use that dock with it. It has an incredibly impressive Super IPS display for that outdoor viewability. All kinds of high-end experiences going on with this device, especially when you consider this hardware. Right now, it's a story of amazing hardware and decent software, but they both kind of have to complement each other to complete the package. So I say that when this tablet gets Android 4.1.1 Jelly Bean, it is going to be the best Android tablet that money can buy, hands down.